thief! Why are you lurking around? I'm calling the cops right now!
But I'm on my front porch.
It began with something so small it felt almost laughable in hindsight. A man updates his Wi-Fi password, and his neighbor calls the police. Marcus Vance was a man of precise, unshakable habits, a cybersecurity expert with skin the color of deep espresso and a beard kept in sharp military lines. He preferred order over attention. He had moved to Ridgewood, Missouri for the quiet, but he was well aware that for a man like him, quiet was often a fragile luxury. He worked from home, kept his lawn trimmed to the inch, and spoke to neighbors only when politeness demanded it. No drama, no noise, and that was exactly how he liked it, until an ordinary Thursday afternoon turned his routine inside out. After wrapping up a long stretch of work, Marcus checked his internet speed. Something was off. Video calls stuttered. Music lagged. At first, he blamed the provider, don't we all? But curiosity tugged harder. Digging into his router settings, he spotted a connected device he didn't recognize. It wasn't a jumble of numbers. It was a name, Ridgewood I-01. Marcus lived alone. He didn't share passwords. Annoyed and a little unsettled, he booted the unknown device and reset his credentials. Stepping outside to scan for the rogue signal's strength, he leaned against his house, phone in hand, fingers moving fast across the glass. That's when Elaine Porter noticed him from her kitchen window. Elaine was a Caucasian woman in her 60s, whose face seemed permanently pinched, as if she were smelling something unpleasant. She viewed herself as the guardian of the neighborhood's traditional values. To her, Marcus wasn't a homeowner. He was a suspicious outsider who didn't fit the picture-perfect life she imagined for Ridgewood. She didn't see a man protecting his home. She saw a predator scouting his next move. Elaine didn't ask questions. She didn't knock on his door. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911, her voice a frantic stage whisper. He's out here again. The man at 412, he's doing something with an electronic device, watching the houses. You need to hurry. Sirens sliced through the quiet just as Marcus finished updating his security protocols. At first, he ignored them. Police passed through the neighborhood all the time. But when the cruiser slowed, then stopped directly in front of his house, his chest tightened with a familiar, weary tension. Two officers stepped out. Detective Aaron Vega, tall, broad, and sharp-eyed, kept one hand near his belt. Beside him stood Officer Nina Brooks, smaller in frame, but steady, composed, and alert. Marcus stayed exactly where he was, his hands visible on his phone, his posture straight. "Sir," Vega called, calm but firm, "we received a report of suspicious activity. Can you tell us what you're doing?" Marcus blinked, maintaining his composure. "I'm changing my Wi-Fi password, officer. My network was breached." That earned a skeptical glance between the officers. They looked at Marcus's expensive tech, then at the man himself. "Do you live here?" Vega asked. Marcus felt the sting of the question. His car sat in the driveway. His name was on the mailbox. 3 years now, he said evenly. "I pay the mortgage on this house every month." Before Vega could respond, a voice cut in sharply. "He's lying." Marcus turned. Elaine stood on her porch, arms crossed, eyes fixed on him like a verdict already decided. She accused him of lingering, tapping on his phone, and watching people. "I was in my router settings," Marcus kept his voice flat, looking at the officers. "Someone I don't know was using my Wi-Fi to tunnel into my private data." Elaine scoffed loudly from her porch. Vega turned to her. "Ma'am, do you have proof of a crime?" She didn't, just a feeling. Vega sighed, then looked back at Marcus. "Mind if we take a look to clear this up?" Marcus hesitated. He shouldn't have to invite them in, but he knew how fast situations like this could spiral for a black man in a neighborhood that felt like a courtroom. He unlocked his phone and handed it over. Vega's expression changed instantly as he saw the technical logs. There it was, Ridgewood I-01. Officer Brooks leaned closer, her eyes narrowing at the screen. "So this device doesn't belong to you?" Marcus shook his head. "No, and it's been connected nonstop. Someone has been using my signal as a mask." The air shifted. What had started as a neighbor's suspicion now carried the weight of a felony. Detective Vega straightened, his tone changing from interrogation to investigation. "Let's go inside. I want to see exactly where this signal is leading." Marcus led them in, frustration simmering beneath his professional mask. At the dining table, he mirrored his router to his laptop. As the data populated the screen, Marcus clicked through the logs, then froze. "What is it?" Vega asked, leaning in. "It's accessing camera feeds," Marcus said, his throat going dry. "What camera feeds?" Elaine asked, having followed the officers inside, still trying to maintain her role as the concerned citizen. Marcus turned the screen so they could all see. It wasn't a list of numbers. It was a gallery of live video streams. The footage wasn't random. It was a targeted hit list. The monitor showed every black family in the 5-block radius. The Hendersons at dinner, a young couple sleeping in their bedroom 2 streets over, and then a feed labeled primary target. It was Marcus's own living room. The camera in his smart TV had been hacked and turned into a spyglass. "You're saying someone's been watching you inside your own house?" Brooks asked, her voice hard with disgust. "Yes," Marcus said sharply. "And they've been watching every other black family on this block. Someone is using my network to spy on us." Elaine staggered back, her face turning a ghostly gray. "That's not possible. This is a respectable neighborhood." "This data isn't going to some remote server," Marcus said, his fingers flying across the keys as he traced the signal's heartbeat. "It's being sent right here in the neighborhood, less than 50 yards away." He cross-referenced the signals and timestamps. Seconds passed in heavy silence. Then his face fell. He looked at the map, then at Elaine, who was now trembling. "That's Evan's house?" Marcus said flatly. Evan. Elaine's 22-year-old nephew. She had taken him in years ago, raising him on a steady diet of her own fears and prejudices. She had taught him that the world was a battlefield and that people like Marcus were the invaders. She had created a disciple of hate, but she never imagined how far that obsession had grown. Brooks didn't hesitate. They moved to the house next door. When the door was breached, they found Caleb, Evan, sitting in a room filled with monitors. He didn't look like a hero. He looked like a cornered animal. "You've been accessing private security feeds," Vega said. Evan denied it until the IP address was mentioned. His mask cracked. But before the officers could even read him his rights, a man in a suit, a process server Marcus had called the moment he saw the breach, stepped forward. "Evan Porter, you've been served." Evan clutched the legal papers, a massive civil suit for privacy invasion and civil rights violations. He looked at the papers, then turned a look of pure venom on Elaine, who was crying in the doorway. "This is your fault," Evan screamed as the cuffs clicked shut. "You're the one who told me they were invaders. You're the one who told me to watch them. I was just doing what you said. I was keeping us safe from them. You made me this way. You're the one who taught me to hate." The fallout was total. Evan was led away, facing a future of felony charges and a lawsuit that would ensure he never owned so much as a laptop again. Elaine stood on the sidewalk, the neighbors she had protected, now standing on their porches, watching her with a mixture of horror and disgust. Outside, Marcus watched from the sidewalk, his arms crossed over his chest. "You were right," Vega admitted quietly, looking at Marcus with a new level of respect. "If you hadn't caught this, we might have never known what was brewing in that house." Marcus exhaled slowly. He didn't feel like a winner. He felt like a man who had just survived a storm. Elaine approached him, her face white and sunken. "Marcus, I didn't know. I was only trying to protect our way of life." Marcus didn't offer a smile. He looked at her with a chilling, silent judgment that made her shrink. "Do you think a uniform or a zip code automatically earns you respect?" Marcus asked, his voice echoing in the quiet street. Elaine flinched, unable to meet his eyes. "It doesn't," Marcus continued. "You taught that boy to see my skin as a weapon, and while you were busy staring at my front door, you let a monster grow in your own home. You didn't protect this neighborhood, Elaine. You poisoned it. You taught him that hate was a hobby, and now you've both lost everything to it." Marcus turned and walked back toward his home. He didn't need an apology. He needed the lock on his door to mean something again. He walked inside and closed the door. Elaine remained alone in the street as the patrol car pulled away. The guardian of Ridgewood was now its greatest pariah. Assumptions have consequences. When we judge without evidence, innocent people suffer, and the real threats thrive in the shadows of our own making. From the other side of silence, toss stories, where real voices rise and truth finds its echo. Like, subscribe and share this story. Because courage and accountability aren't just lessons, they're a standard to live by.